What is up, everybody? My name is Justin French, covering music for those who care, and welcome to episode 2 of Ranked in Peace. This is basically my ranking series where I'm going to go through a band's discography and give you my ranking of their worst and their best. And the one that I'm looking at today is going to be Stone Temple Pilots. Now, they are a grunge alternative rock band that started out in the 90s and are still actually making music to this day, which is pretty interesting. And I did do a review of the last self-titled record they did, if anyone would like to see that. So anyways, I also did a video like this last night for anyone that missed it on my Breaking Benjamin discography due to their new album Ember coming out this Friday. So anyone that wants to check that out, I will put it right over here. And anyways, y'all, let's go ahead. Let's dig into the discography of Stone Temple Pilots. Now, also, before I get started with my number 7 pick over here, I just kind of want to make a quick note that, yes, High Rise was an EP that they did with Chester Bennington, but the reason why it's not on this list is pretty much just because it's an EP of only about 4 songs. But I still think it was a nice project, and rest in peace, Chester Bennington. But anyways, going back into the number 7 pick, I ended up picking the band's 2010 self-titled record, the first self-titled record they did, back in 2010. And this was coming off their first record since 2001's Shangri-La Di Da. I'm probably going to mispronounce that word whenever I give my pick on that one. But yeah, this is the band's comeback, and also the last one to feature Scott Weiland, as he was fired in 2013 but ended up passing away in 2015 by the end of that year. And I do have to say that while I do enjoy a track like Between the Lines, I thought that was a pretty nice single to lead this album off with, and I remember seeing commercials about this record. I just don't really find this album to be very cohesive as a whole, in my opinion. It just kind of goes all off the wall in its sound. Some songs go for more of a countryer kind of flair, 60s, 70s rock, some of the alternative rock sounds that the band is well known for, and that's okay, but it's not for me. Tracks like Dare If You Dare, Fast As I Can, Peacoat, I just really don't come back to as much, in my opinion. And I will say too that Brendan O'Brien did not produce this record. Instead, the DeLeo brothers did. And I do have to say that while it's a nice kind of break from him being the producer on this thing, I just felt like the production here was just kind of lacking, in my opinion. But anyways, y'all, let's go ahead and get into my number 6 pick. So my number 6 pick on this list is uncoincidentally going to be number 4, which is kind of breaking the whole numbers of the albums kind of thing. I think I just made it a bit more awkward than it needed to be. But anyways, going back into this pick. So this is pretty much the album where the band kind of went back from the whole psychedelic feel of their last record, Tiny Music Songs from the Vatican Gift Shop, and pretty much experimented with that sound along with more of the alternative hard rock sound that the band was pretty well known for on albums like Purple and Core. And the only reason why this is at number 6 is because while I do find the music and the production on this album to be very well done, besides the singles that came off of this record, Down, Heaven and Hot Rods, and especially Sour Girl, I mean, come on, who hasn't seen the video to that with Sarah Michelle Gellar? That's pretty much the only tracks I really come back to. It doesn't really have that much staying power, in my opinion. So it's just, in my opinion, kind of forgettable. But anyways, going back into my number 5 pick. So coming in as my number 5 pick, I ended up picking the second self-titled record, not straying too far away from the first self-titled record, but at first I was really nervous about this record just because the new singer for this band, Jeff, really had some big shoes to fill on this record, especially since Weiland and Bennington passed away. And I think he has a very, very unique voice, especially for this band. I think he fits in very well. And I come back to a lot of these cuts on this record. Middle of Nowhere is a really great opener. Meadow has some really nice hard rock energy in it. I love Roll Me Under, which is probably one of the heavier cuts on here. The Art of Letting Go is a really nice ballad, along with Good Shoes and Reds and Blues. Now, you're probably wondering why this is only at number 5, since I'm saying so much good things about it. Well, this is more of a recent record. It just came out like about a few weeks ago. So I can't really call it the best because I haven't really let a few years kind of go by me real quick. So that's why it's coming in at number 5. Still a great release for anyone that's wanting to get into Stone Temple Pilots. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive into my number 4 pick. And it's not number 4 because we already covered it. So coming in as my number 4 pick, I ended up picking Tiny Music, Songs from the Vatican Gift Shop. And at first, it looked like the sessions weren't really turning out that well. The band pretty much scrapped it. And then Scott Weiland ended up getting arrested due to heroin and cocaine possession charges and was sentenced to 1 year probation. And then this record came out in 1996. And I do have to say that a lot of critics seem to not like it at first, but it's kind of grown a lot over time as I've seen many reviews on it. And I do have to say, it's a pretty interesting one. This is where the band kind of took their sound in more of a psychedelic kind of feel compared to Purple and Core, where they kind of felt like more grungier, kind of hard rock. And there are moments on here that really do shine, especially on tracks like Big Bang Baby, Pop's Love Suicide, Trippin' on a Hole in a Paper Heart, which is a really, really nice single. I even love the instrumentals Press Play and Daisy on here. I think this is a pretty, really underrated record, and I really like that the band really experimented on this record. So let's go ahead and get into my number 3 pick. Well, this one might come as a shock. My number 3 pick is going to be Shangri-La Dee Da. I think I pronounced it right. But anyways, going into this release, so originally from what I hear, this was originally supposed to be a double album. And their record label Atlantic kind of scrapped the idea, and I'm kind of glad they did, because I was afraid that if they did, it was probably going to end up being one of those Metallica Load Reload kind of double albums. And not to dog on Metallica, I still think there are some good stuff on those records. It's just, it would have been better if it was just fit into one entire record and that'd be it. But anyways, this showed more of the heavier side as compared to the other years that had passed. This is after Tiny Music and also number 4, which showed more of the psychedelic, hard rock kind of sound. This one brought back the heavier sound from the earlier records. The opening track, Dumb Love, is actually a personal favorite song of mine. I just really love the heaviness on that one. Days of the Week, Hollywood Bitch, Coma, Black Again, even Bipolar Bear. Those are some really, really nice numbers you're going to find on this thing. And you're probably wondering why I put this on number 3. I just really find this one to be a very, very underrated record compared to the other records that have come before it. And I don't really see many people talk about this one as much. But that's my number 3. So now we're down to the bottom 2. So what's going to hold my number 2 pick? Watch and you'll see. Clocking in at number 2, we have the record Purple. And it's so sad whenever I go into a store and see this record, and then the tab, let's say at a Walmart, the tab has it as just Stone Temple Pilots. Like, this thing isn't self-titled. This thing hit number 1 on the Billboard 200 for crying out loud. It deserves better than that. But anyways, this is where I kind of see the band kind of experimenting a little bit more into their sound, and especially with further albums, actually. I see songs like Big Empty, which was the first song to be heard from this record in 1993 whenever the band did the MTV Unplugged, and this was also featured on the Crow soundtrack, and that was a 90s movie, for those of you who didn't know. And then you have Interstate Love Song, which kind of goes for more, I would say, country-esque vibes in it. I wouldn't call it full country like Reba or Toby Keith or even, you know, Waylon Jennings or anything like that. But it just has its own kind of groove to it. And then you have Loungefly, which kind of started the experimental psychedelic vibe that you would get on more of the records. And then so on and so forth. Now, you're probably wondering at this point, what's my number one? We've gotten all the way up through these 6 albums. There's 7 in the discography. Which one haven't I talked about yet? My number one pick for this band's discography, at least in my opinion, is going to be the band's debut record from 1992, Core. Now, I know there are a bunch of you out there on your keyboards about to ask me, "Man, Justin, you were talking about so many good things about these other records like Purple, Shangri-La-Di-Da, surprising enough, and even the self-titled record from this year. Why does Core, the band's debut record from 1992, have to be your number one?" Well, the answer is pretty plain and simple. I just really have a soft spot for this record, in my opinion. I remember around the time I was 14, I had this really big grunge phase where I was into, you know, the stuff from the 90s, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots. And I remember listening to Sex Type Thing and Plush kind of being played every once in a while on the alternative modern rock station that we have in North Carolina. And I really dug those songs. So I asked for the record for Christmas one year, around that time, and I got it, and ever since I listened to that, I don't really think that any album has really competed to how big this one was, in my opinion. I don't really find to be any bad tracks on this one. I really love how this album opens with Dead and Bloated, not only the album, but this band's career. I mean, it starts off very weird, but it ends very mesmerizing with that last track, Where the River Goes. And on other tracks such as Wicked Garden, Sin, Naked Sunday, Creep, which is a fantastic single. For those of you who missed it, that was a song that I did before the intro had popped up, and the first song I ever did on my guitar for this channel. So let me know in the comment section down below if I did a good job or not. Hoping I didn't butcher it. And then you have other tracks on here like Piece of Pie and even Wet My Bed, even though I know that was the first song to be recorded for this record and pretty much a joke track, but I still like it in the context of this record. And this is where I felt like the band was pretty much starting out, but they were about to be at their peak with this record. But anyways, y'all, these are my thoughts on the Stone Temple Pilots discography. I pretty much rank them in peace, I guess you would say. But anyways, what is your ranking of the Stone Temple Pilots discography? Definitely comment in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank CJ Lassicos. I'm probably butchering your last name, by the way, and I apologize for that. But anyways, thanks CJ for the suggestion for this video. If you haven't already, give this video a subscribe if you are into, well, rank them all with album rankings, album reviews, and even track reaction reviews. And definitely give this video a like. And anyways, y'all, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you all for watching this video. As always, thanks to Infinity on Hannah for these awesome designs. If you want to subscribe to my channel, you can click right over there to catch up on more content on this channel. If you want to see a previous video that I did, you can click right over there to see that video. And if you want to follow any of my social media links, they are linked down at the bottom. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you soon.